Let's talk about some dirt cheap tax deed land. I know a lot of folks watching this love land, so we're going to talk about some quick tips on getting some of that land here in today's live stream. So, a couple benefits of buying land at the tax deed sale is one of the big benefits actually is it is much easier to buy land remotely because you're not having to really go and inspect a structure, right? So one of the big rules with tax deed investing is you always want to see the property before you buy it. So there's going to be some limitations to that, and generally you have to be there in person to like physically see the property. Now, that can be done through some services like We Go Look, or you can send someone, but one of the challenges there is if it's a tax deed auction, or actually any auction in general, that requires you to be there in person. So what I mean by that is if you need to be there in person as far as buying the property, if that property or if that auction is far away from you, that can be challenging, right? Because you don't want to travel too far unless there's at least like 50 to 100 properties. So if you're fortunate enough to live in a spot where there are lots of sales, like maybe Texas or Georgia or Florida, where there's places where they have monthly sales, the nice thing there is you're kind of in business quite easily and quite quickly. But if you're watching this and you want to do tax deeds and do land, and maybe you don't live in a place where there is tax deed land, that is one of the big benefits of being able to do land is you don't necessarily need to be there in person to look at it because it is land and it is simpler. So if you want to do this and get dirt cheap land remotely, you're going to want to focus on places that are going to have an online auction. So in the modern world we live in today, a lot of these places are doing online auctions, which is good. There are pros and cons to that. Now, it does open up the world of tax deed investing to those of you who maybe don't live in a tax deed state, because the online auction allows you to bid from home and you don't physically have to go there. But what you will do is have to research the properties and all of the basics of tax lien and deed investing, right? Which is always key. So let's talk about here where we're going to go to get this land, right? So first off, if it's a deed sale, you want to find out when that deed sale is happening. The good old standard basics, like when is the deed sale? When is it happening? What is going up for sale at the tax deed sale? And then from there, you're always going to want to see what happened the year prior to the tax deed auction. And what you're looking for here is you want to find out, did things get bid up way beyond market value? How many people were at that sale? Because there's no point wasting your time going to a sale where everything was like bid up. And that's the thing with this business is it will take a little bit of elbow grease, but that elbow grease is definitely worth it because you can get these properties dirt cheap, right? At the tax deed sale. So don't just go to one tax deed sale and write it all off if everything gets bid up or nothing was left, because we have so many people. We live in just a soft world these days where, the internet has kind of ruined a lot of people and the effort they put in. And it's completely acceptable to go to school for, a degree, this and that. But, heaven forbid you go to one tax deed sale and you don't get a property. Doesn't work. End of the world. If you're watching this and you are interested in tax lien and deed investing, make sure to subscribe, like the pillow in the background, because a lot of folks miss the tax lien and deed information. And then they go to a tax deed sale. Maybe they lose some money, buy a bad property, and all because they missed the video that came out showing them how to do this. So go ahead, subscribe, give this video a thumbs up. If you like it, it'd be much appreciated. And go ahead and ask a question in the comments, because I get a lot of ideas for topics and content in the comments. So ask down there, start the conversation, and we can definitely have a party in the comments. So yeah, that's what I like about doing land at these sales. And you're going to want to find out when was the sale, and the prior year is going to be an indication to a degree of what's happening this year, right? So one of the best places to start looking for cheaper land is in some of the smaller tax deed counties. So what you can do is just go on Google and search list of counties by state and population. And they're literally out there. You just go ahead and you download them. And from there, basics, right? You call the county, ask them when the sale is, get that information. And most importantly of all, ask them what happens to the tax deeds that don't sell at the sale, right? Because those are the OTC, the over-the-counter tax deeds, which is super important. So when it comes to the over-the-counter, the tax deeds, that's when you can go ahead and buy these things literally for just the back taxes owed with nobody else bidding against you. And it is a really, really good system. Now, below in the link is a book that walks you through, and this thing is totally free. Every video I mention this thing, but it has everything laid out step by step, exactly what to call, what to say, which is what I'm covering in this video in some degrees. But this thing, I used to sell this, sold thousands of copies, and now I just give it away as a full mini course to help you on your way in this business. So that is available in a link below, totally free. You can go grab a copy now or after this to be able to help you do this business. So over-the-counter deeds, hands down, one of the best ways to get dirt cheap tax deeds. And remember, the thing with over-the-counter is you will have to put in some effort. You know, for everybody watching this, if you just put in 1 hour a day, 5 days a week into this business, you can and will get deals, which is why we do this stuff, right? But the challenge these days is there's a bit of irony in it, because you're watching this on the internet, but also the internet can be the downfall of most people, because, you know, it's 1 billion miles wide and like half an inch deep. So you just get on this treadmill of feeling like you're doing something, but endlessly consuming information. Now, I appreciate everybody watching this video, and there is a balance to how much of this stuff you need to watch and how much you need to implement. So, you know, after every knowledge session, you should be directly implementing. So that's why the steps, what to do after you're done with my videos, watch some more, obviously, if you want, but action is key. So call the county, see what they have. If you're in a tax lien county, find a tax deed county for the dirt cheap land. You're going to have to go through, you're going to have to put in some elbow grease, but you know, like, what's the alternative, right? Like, what is the alternative? If you're wanting to use this business to escape your rat race, 9 to 5, can definitely be done. Like, I was working on the oil rigs before this stuff years ago, and this is actually going to be my 20th year of doing this stuff full time. And it's been absolutely amazing. Like, real estate and tax liens and deeds really opened the doorway for me to be able to, at the time I was living in Alberta, Canada, freezing cold, -40 winters. And it allowed me to move to California down by the beach. And it all started with land. My first piece of land, $4,200. It was 40 acres in Washington. And then from there, I sold it for $20,000 and just never looked back. I just kept going. And when I started with this stuff, man, this game was way harder, way harder. For example, like, you had to get a paper map. You had to map out where all the properties are, things like that. You know, you had to drive around. There was no GPS. Man, sounding old, definitely old. But nowadays you have the maps on your phone. You have all this information at your fingertips. You have Google Earth, all that sort of stuff. Now, to figure out what a property's worth, get some CMAs, comparable market analysis, by finding out what other properties in the area have sold for, right? So that'll give you a cost per acre in general on similar pieces of property, see what it's assessed for, and see what things are selling for. From there, you know, you can always reach out to a real estate agent, ask them what they have in the area, what they think things are worth. And then also, another important thing to think about here when you're doing land, keep an eye on what's going to be happening in the area. Like, what's happening in the area that, you know, maybe they're going to be building a bunch of houses. Maybe they're going to build some schools. Maybe there's a highway going in. Maybe there's an event center, something like that, that is going to make those values go up. Maybe they're adding on to the university. Maybe there's going to be a subway, things like that. So let's see. Question came in: which states have you been most successful in? We've probably bought the most property in like Texas and Philadelphia for sure. Have been some really good spots for us for tax liens and deeds. We do a lot of our flips out of Ohio as well, because in between tax lien and deed sales, like, we like to flip and wholesale, and you can pick these things up pre-auction as well. So another way to get the dirt cheap land is to get the list of properties and, you know, contact them before the auction. You can get them under contract. Now, sometimes you won't get as good of a deal, But the thing is, let's say it's one of those auctions where maybe things are going to get bid up very high. So in that situation, what can happen is you can scoop it up pre-auction and maybe get it for 50 cents on the dollar or 40 cents on the dollar. So that is a great way to go about it. So Prince is saying he's new to this. And in Washington, yeah, Washington is a great place for tax deeds. Normally, I think they're in December, around the end of the year. So definitely look into sales at the end of the year. But the biggest thing is to take action. And like I say, one of the best action plans is to just grab the free book below. It'll help you get started here today. We literally have Tax Lien and Deed Investing 101, totally free to you. If you want some help with this stuff, you can book a one-on-one call with us and we'll build you a custom plan. So if you want that, click the below this video, the more info button specifically. It'll drop down. You can click there. Go ahead, book a call if you want some help. We'll save you 3 to 5 years of trial and error. I want to thank everybody for tuning in here today. It's a wonderful time to be in Tax Liens and Deeds, and I really respect all of your time for being here, and I'll do my best to keep making content. All right, good stuff. We'll see you in the next video.